Hi everybody, my name is Sean O'Kane with Chip Estimate TV, where we bring you the latest trends and information in the world of the semiconductor industry, the EDA, and parts unknown. My guest today, once again, is Mr. John Blyler. He's the Chief Content Officer with Extension Media, and of course John writes a blog twice a week on ChipEstimate.com called IP Insider. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, Sean. It's good to be here.
Well, I love our little travel logs, the travel logs that you do and then report on back to us at Chip Estimate TV. Recently, you were at Sonoma Raceway in Northern California. This is an IndyCar race that was over the weekend, and interesting, you saw an accident in the pit, and the guy wasn't hurt, was he?
No, they were both fine. Just a little icing on the legs, and they were back at it. So I'm told anyway.
And he did the flip in the air.
Well, he did flip. You know the two cars come in at the same time, right next to one another. They're both anxious to get out. The one guy got out faster, but as he was heading out, the tire from the crew member was carrying the tire, and he flipped. Anyway.
Well, apparently, the crew member received a 9.5 from the crowd because he stuck the landing, ladies and gentlemen. But he got a mark down from the Russian judges. But anyway, tell me, why does IndyCar racing? What does it have to do with EDA and IP?
There's something like over 60 embedded processors in today's high-end cars. And there is as many in the Indy cars, especially when they're fully instrumented and tested and running their times on the track. So that means design, that means verification IP, that means modeling of the software and hardware. It means all of the things that the EDA and the IP industry does. In addition, of course, to the embedded and networking spaces.
Very cool. Very cool. And traveling along, you were at Hot Chips this year, held at Stanford University. Last year you reported on some of the topics, transistor variability, FinFET structures, which was a big topic of discussion throughout 2012. Some of the decline of IPOs, silicon IPOs, and of course the Wright law versus Moore's law, and just technology, the evolution. In general. So, that said, what was new this year?
Well, many of the same topics. There was a good IP discussion, and I'll cover that later. But one of the things that was of interest was there was more of the consumer presence in there with Google and Microsoft.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, talk about Microsoft, the Xbox.
Oh, okay.
Xbox One, and I know. When we were at the Game Developers Conference, we stopped by the booth and saw some very interesting things. But maybe you want to enlighten us a little bit about the audio processors designed by Microsoft.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So in the Xbox, of course, it's got some horsepower, and that's mainly AMD. But in this, for the Kinect, there's also sorts of audio sensors and sensors to determine the positioning of the players. And they've actually designed their own chips to do that using kind of a depth of perception technology and time to flight algorithms. So it's fascinating, and those should be, the next time they roll out, I mean, it should be an order of magnitude better. Yeah,
and you mentioned depth perception. What the first thing that comes to mind is this new Google Glass.
Oh.
So the evolution of a laptop computer to a computer that sits in your pocket to now a system that sits on your head. Talk a little bit about that, and
well,
if you can.
Yes, the designer of the Google Glass, he didn't share a whole lot of details. I mean, he mentioned that it does use a dual core, and it's over gigahertz in terms of speed. There are 5 MEMS sensors in there that handle all sorts of information. I guess the things that stood out for me was, you'd think this little Google Glass you wouldn't see very well, but he argued this was the next evolution in the resolution, the increasing resolution of the displays, because now you have almost a full body display that you can look through. And of course, as augmented reality, which is here but begins to become wrapped into the Google Glass experience and everything else, as that starts happening, it's going to be very transformative, I think.
Once again, very enlightening. I thank you very much for you stopping by once a month, giving us an update, giving our audience an update on your travels and what's new and exciting out there for us. So For John Blyler, Chief Content Officer at Extension Media, my name is Sean O'Kane. We'll see you next time on
Thanks, Sean.
ChipEstimate TV. See you.